I'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity with interesting people. And Amy's an interesting person. So I asked her, I said, would you be willing to do a podcast? She said, sure. So I have a feeling that, yeah, this one's gonna be multiple different podcasts. Amy, tell us a little bit about yourself if you could.
Yeah, well, let's just jump right into the reason you asked me to be on the podcast, and I'll give you a little bit of my background. But Mark asked if I'd be interested in doing a podcast because I was married to an alcoholic for 24 years, with him for a total of 27, 28, and I walked away from that 2 years ago.
Wow.
And several reasons. I mean, I've learned the word duty marriage. If you've ever heard that, Mark, have you heard the word duty marriage? So,
I haven't, but I
yeah.
totally get it.
So we had two children together. I had already had a child prior to that. I had a baby when I was 17, my junior year of high school, and decided not to marry Reagan's dad because I didn't want to go through a divorce. That was my reasoning. How ironic is that? So get pregnant again a few years later and marry that person. And I knew he was a heavy drinker, but I also was in a mess in my life at that time. I had walked away from God. I walked away from God in middle school, was very angry at God for 18 years, right? So talk about feelings and self-righteousness and entitlement and being a victim. And then at the age of 21, as I was dating my future husband, I decided that I'm going to take a different direction. And so since that time, I've worked very hard. You talk about work ethic, Mark. I know you share about your work ethic. I worked to make my life different so that my kids didn't grow up in the environment that I grew up in, and I wanted to give them a bigger and better future. So I was fortunate through hard work to find some amazing jobs, some great mentors over the years, and then got the entrepreneurial bug and started buying businesses or creating businesses. And so today I'm a business owner. I've had 5 companies total. I've sold 2, and I'm franchising my marketing company as we speak because in the Bible it says to leave an inheritance to your children and your grandchildren, and that is one of my missions.
Actually, it's fascinating. So Amy is a different, I was raised Christian. My dad was a pastor, very conservative, GRBC, General Association, Regular Baptist, small, very, very conservative. Um, and so people have told me you're a very different type of Christian, and so Amy is a very different type of Christian. So
Yeah.
if you're non-Christians and you're watching this, you're probably going to love both Amy and I.
Yeah. Well, and I grew up Baptist too, which is so funny. One of the turning points, the music I listened to, I remember in college when I was not following Jesus at the time. I still loved God, but I was angry. But I remember leaving a Marilyn Manson concert and people out there were screaming at me that I was going to go to hell because I attended a Marilyn Manson concert. By the way, I just seen Marilyn Manson again 2 Saturdays ago in Vegas, and I love Jesus more than anything. But we're to love others. Jesus says the greatest commandment, love the Lord your God with all your soul, all your mind, all your strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. So if we take that principle and we apply it to everything in our life, that is another vision that should be moving us forward through everything that we do, business, life, family, friends. And if we focus on that mission, it takes the focus off of us because now we're not focused on my greatness or what I'm achieving. We're focused on how do we help others love Jesus? How do we help others be seen and be heard?
So Amy is going to talk about Jesus a lot more than I am, and that's fine. It's fine. And so for you Christians who really, you're going to struggle with her. Like, how come she talks so much about Jesus and goes to a Marilyn Manson concert? Like that seems like that just jam. Does she do it just to irritate you? I don't know. I'm not. I'm not entirely sure. And so you're gonna love her because she talks so much about Jesus. You know, I don't talk about Jesus much at all. I don't. I just don't. Um, and so, but I don't go to Marilyn Manson. I don't go to concerts. I mean, I do but they're all Christian concerts because
Yeah.
that's what my life goes. My wife likes to go to Christian concerts, so I go to Christian concerts, and I'm like, okay. And it's so fascinating to me because when you look around, I don't know if this is true at the concerts you go to, Amy. I'm really excited to learn about those. That would be fascinating for me to go to a concert with you, especially one of those concerts. That'd shake up my kids. Like a little
I've got
payback
some
there,
planned.
a little
There.
payback there.
Yeah,
But when I'm at a concert, I go ahead and watch, and it's just fascinating to me. And so I have a lot of trauma connected to concerts. So this is going to be Amy does something to my brain where it's like it's okay for Mark for you to be you.
absolutely.
And that's not very many people. Now, Amy and I haven't known each other in all fairness that long, so she may change her mind on that, and that's fine too. So the last concert I went to was with my wife and my two adult daughters. And it was a Christian concert, and there's probably 70 to 80% of the in there were women.
Mhm.
So, do women like concerts you go to? Are most of them women too, or not?
I think it's a good mix.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, it's a good mix. Um, not maybe not quite 50-50, but listening to like new metal, hard rock, heavy metal, it's a different vibe. Funny enough, it's a very much a community. And it's
Oh, big
a
time.
big community of broken people. But like
Right.
we listen to this music as like a coping mechanism for some of the stuff, right? I know where to tap into God. But like, and I'll give you an example. I go to Christian concerts too. I love Skillet. Skillet is a metal Christian band, so is Red. But I also love Toby Mac, and I've seen Toby
Okay.
Mac 7 times, right? And I love Jeremy Camp. I've seen Jeremy Camp multiple times. So concerts in general is my jam. I just like the ones where there's mosh pits and circle pits and people are pushing each other and we're all jumping up and down. You don't see that very much in Christian concerts. However, when I'm at a metal festival, I'm like, this is what heaven's going to be like because we're going to be so excited to see God and Jesus up there. We're just going to be bouncing and jumping and excited and singing and praising.
You and King David out
That's
there
exactly
dancing.
right.
You and King David out there dancing. So we go to this concert, this Christian concert with, so my 37-year-old daughter, 35-year-old daughter, and my wife. We go out to a nice restaurant before and have a great conversation. Um, and we go, and all of these women, and it might have been Toby Mac, honestly. I don't remember which one, but it was one of the, popular ones. And I see all these women, bobbing and weaving, like their whole bodies are. It reminded me of my granddaughter, Lily, when she was like, I don't know, 6 months old and music comes on and that little girl's body just moved. I'm like, holy cow. Like, that's not trained. That's something wired inside. Anyways, so we go there and they're talking about a deep relationship. And all these women are cooing and wooing and wanting deep relationships. And I'm like, I'm observing all of this as a man. And I'm like, am I actually, I think that I dance with both of them. And Baptists don't dance. Like I got taken. Like I had this. Like in grade school when we did square dancing, I had to sit on the side or go to the library because he couldn't do square dancing. Like
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
It,
this.
it, yeah, and hence I left the church. And I used to watch Footloose as a kid, where the movie, the musical, where the preacher preached that they couldn't dance, and the Kevin
Yep.
Bacon reads from the Bible about there's a time for everything. I know, because I dance in church, and I attend a Baptist church right now part of the time, and then with the guy I'm seeing, I attend his non-denominational Christian church. And guess what? I dance in both services when we sing and worship. I mean, not crazy dance, but I'm dancing.
Right. 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 So 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 I'm thinking there's all this and there's a song on deep and all these women are like, ooh, deep, deep, deep. And I'm like, okay. So I'm thinking, like, my wife knows I like deep relationships, and my girls know he's deep. Like, he's not he loves to go deep. And when we are riding home, what do we talk about? I mean, they're moms, young moms, nursing, and all the baby stuff. And I'm like, so all these women think they want deep relation, but do they? Do they really want it? I'm not sure they really want to they want to sing it, they want to feel it. Like I showed you in the previous one, if you're in business and you want to go ahead and grow your business, you want to, have more time, more everything, join Coffee Connection. We have a great Coffee Connection podcast. And so, but we were talking about the feelings model here. And, and so, like, this is the thing. Like, I'm perplexed. Like, I'm perplexed. Like, I don't, okay, there's three women who know me and they go and it's like a drug. It's like you might as well be in an opium den if you go into a concert. I don't care what concert it is. I mean, I
Yeah.
won't judge the Marilyn Manson, but the Christian concerts, it's like opium, but it's like Sunday morning church. It's like
Yeah.
you go there to feel something rather to become what you were created to be. I
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
It's the dopamine hit. And I do. I have a concert high for a few days after every concert. And I feel that way too about church most times. Now, I also say I get spanked by God because sometimes I'm sitting in church on the pew and the preacher's preaching and I'm starting to slouch because I know it's directed at me, right? So I'm getting some correction or I'm having something being acknowledged as well. But there is a dopamine hit in that when we are close to God and God made us, He wired us. But how do we turn that into a healthy thing and not an unhealthy thing?
Right. For the different personality stuff, I have a feeling that we're going to be talking a lot about personalities on this stuff. So round and round my mind goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. And so, like you said, you were hurt in high school or in middle school.
Oh, so I've had 11 childhood traumas by the time I was 16.
Is there any way you could get those over to me?
I can. Yeah, I'll get them over.
I
I need
won't
to.
share them unless you're
Yeah,
okay
yeah,
with it.
yeah.
Yeah, but
I absolutely will.
yeah,
But in middle school, and I will say, so ironically, I was living with my grandmother. My grandmother, I lived with her for 9 years. My parents divorced when I was 4. My dad was an alcoholic. And ironically, my youth pastor moved in next door to us. And as an elementary kid, I loved Michael Jackson. I loved Bon Jovi. I loved Def Leppard. My birthday's near Halloween. I love Halloween. And he yelled at my grandmother for the way that she was raising me. And that was like one of the first seeds of like that I didn't like. That kind of drove a wedge between me and God. It was other people, right? And so the more that I found out what I was doing was wrong, I wanted to do more of it, right? Because I was rebellious. I'm like, if you think that's bad, just wait.
right, right. This is see, I haven't been through that. I'm 62 years old, so like I, I'm like, so I'm working on healing. So when we were married 20 years, so we've been married 41 years. So I'm 62. My wife is 61. We were married when she was 19. I was 20. At at 40, we had been married for 20 years, and we were going through. Didn't know if we were going to make our marriage was going to make it. We were going through. I mean, it was brutal. And I saw my uncle Gary and Aunt Carrie. We went to their house, and he was a pastor, had a lot of experience in counseling, and he hammered on me for an hour. I mean, it was like he could not get through. It wasn't bad hammering. Like it wasn't. I didn't take it bad. He just tried to get through. He couldn't get through. And Carrie says to him, Gary, you're not making much progress. Nope. Let me give it a shot. Yep. And she just looked at me and she looked into my eyes. She says, Mark, I think you've been hurt at a heart level. And I went ahead and started crying. I mean, it was crazy. He's pounded away, pounded away. I mean, he can't get through. He cannot get through. She just says, I think you've been hurt at a heart level. That was 20 years ago. And I'm crying. And finally, I composed myself. I said, that is so true. I said, how do I heal? How do I fix it? She's like, I don't know. What? But at least I've been diagnosed. So for the last 20 years, for the last 20 years, I've been searching and looking for like how do you heal at a heart level? And so this is the journal uh, on my journal page. And so I think it's in here. So in my journal, I started journaling a number of years ago. So there's seems like I don't know, there's that. I still haven't figured it out, but 4 steps to conflict resolution. There's the feeling model.
Mhm.
So here it is. This is my this is when I was dissecting. It's like, okay, so I don't know, maybe we'll figure it out. Like you have to be heard at a heart level. Somebody has to hear you. So my aunt, like she saw, she could feel. And so like, I think what happens, Amy, is my gut feel is that we get hurt as a child, and most of the time people don't even know it. They don't understand the significance of it, and so they get hurt. And so what happens, I believe, is we stop growing in that area. There's a number of areas we can grow, and um, so on a podcast that Nora and I do on Your Voice in My Headset on Friday on friendships. And so Rosanna, welcome Rosanna, welcome Nita. Uh, Rosanna's my wife. Have you met my wife, Amy?
I have not met Rosanna yet.
Rosanna, this is Amy. Amy, this is Rosanna. Um,
Hey, hey, Amy.
Hi, Rosanna.
and so Rosanna went ahead and came up with this. I don't know why it's not coming up. Um,
Mm.
so she went ahead and came up with that is really weird. Um, oh, yeah. So she came up with this, and so this seemed like this is something she came up with, on Facebook or something. When trauma gets triggered, you don't act your age, you act
Oh,
the age your wound was created. Have you seen this one?
yes, that's very good. And it's true.
Right?
Yeah.
We revert back. So once I was doing business with a good Christian, and he was had his I don't know, he's a doctorate in psychology or something. So he was, and I don't know, from my perspective, he said some stupid stuff, and you know, and I got intense with him, and he says, "Oh, that's good, Mark." He says, he's like, "That's good. I brought out your inner child in you." I said, "Well, I just want you to know you can do that. I don't have a problem with you bring out my inner child, but I'm just here to tell you, you bring out my inner child, I'm going to bring out your inner child. My inner child's going to beat the crap out of your inner child." like,
Mhm.
like, and so it's just like I don't know. And so there's like we're enslaved, like we were talking in the previous one, we're enslaved and we don't even know it, and people want to be enslaved. Like they don't, like you ask somebody, like I, like Amy, own a number of businesses, and so when you ask somebody their biggest challenge, they'll tell you, but if you ask them, do you want to fix it? They say yes, but they don't. I would say 9 out of 10 times people don't want to fix their biggest challenge. And so I attend PB church on Sunday morning at 7 o'clock Eastern time. So you're all invited. It's a half an hour. It's totally different from any other church. You've never experienced anything like it. They'll never ask for money. and it's only a half an hour. And they don't tell you to stop going to your current church. So, so it's a weird church. Like it's a weird, weird church. Um, People will often ask, what's PB stand for? And I'm not sure. Everybody kind of comes up with their own meaning. Like I call it Paul Barnabas because I think that's a good, you know, Paul. Paul's like me. Barnabas is, like my wife. You know, uh, Anita is probably the smartest of all of us because she hasn't revealed. Elaine calls it the peanut butter church. Okay, Rosanna calls it the pain in the butt church. Like Nora calls it, you know, pretzels and beer church. Like so, so, so there's something like how, if we could just heal, like if we could just heal at a heart level, like what could we do? Like what kind of an impact could we have? Amy, anything else that you have that you'd like to go over today?
Well, I think we're on a good start, but I'd love to talk about the personality dynamics and addiction at some point because I think different personality types have more addictive personalities. And I'd like to hear your thoughts on that too, but that is not a conversation for today.
No, but we are going to go and put some salt in the oats. So we're going to salt the oats for you because I realized at the age of 15, so at the age of 8, I was given my life vision, you know, and the rest of my life, it's impacted it a lot, like my choices, a lot. And so at the age of 15, I realized that I had a very addictive personality. I'm like, Mark, you have a very addictive personality. I could just see it. And so I said, so Mark, you need to go ahead and never touch alcohol because you'll be an alcoholic. You just will. And my parents, as far as I know, they never drank. And and on both sides of my family, my mom's side, my dad's side, there's no alcoholics that we're aware of. But yet I knew you're going to be an alcoholic, Mark. You take that first drink, you're done. And so I said, you just simple. You cannot, because you lack discipline when you enjoy something. So you have to go ahead and discipline. And you can never go ahead and do drugs because you'll be a drug addict. Shoot, you can't even, yeah, don't just be safe because, coffee's a gateway drug. It just is. And so I never even tasted coffee ever in my life. So I said that to myself. I said, yeah, I'm not going to do it. And so I think everybody's got addictions. I think the addictions might actually, what triggered it today, that when you said there was something about middle school, and immediately I connected that into addictions. And I wonder if the hurt that hasn't been healed leaves a gaping hole in our heart, and that then makes us vulnerable to an addiction. So personalities based on addiction will wet your whistle today with it. So the amiable, let's start off with the lowest frequency. It's not bad, it's just lowest frequency, the amiable. Amiable will often go ahead and get addicted because they'll do drinking and drugs and other kind of things to fit in, to be part of the group. I was offered drugs more at a Christian high school than I was in the public high school. It's very simple. No, like doesn't matter. Like, yep, don't need it. Yep, not going to do it. But the amiable, they want to go. They're more susceptible to addictions in connecting with people and saying no. They have a hard time saying no. They want to be part of the group. The analytic, I think they have highly addictive personalities because how can I say this nicely? I want to make sure I say it nice. They live a life, and I learned this from a friend. She doesn't know I learned it from her, but she doesn't realize how much I study. People don't realize how much I study them. Like they just don't. So they live this perfect life. I'm going to do this and this and this and this, and they do everything right, and then terrible stuff happens. So they deserve a break. And the amiable, they get taken advantage of by people, so they become a victim, and so they're entitled to feeling something And so whatever that feeling is, the drug, whatever it is, the analytic, they have pride, tremendous amount of pride. They think, I don't know, they think they're princesses and princes, so they think they're better than other people. They're just born with that. They're just, I don't know, are often, the firstborn, or they could be the last of 10. It kind of depends. And so the analytic, and they think they're smart and they think they're disciplined. So they deceive themselves into thinking, well, I can just have a drink, I can just have a smoke, I can just do this and this. Like I've got myself under control. And so, and I'm entitled because I'm such a good person and I do such good things and I make good choices. So they're very susceptible. Expressive, they do it because they just love the energy of, like, when people start, I don't know, like I keep waiting for somebody to, like we live in Amish territory and they have all these drunken party, 1,000 people, kids, teens, young adults. And I'm like, because I'm the most drunk person at a drunk party. The thing that's so cool about it is I remember everything.
Yeah, because you're not really drunk.
I'm
You're
not.
just being expressive.
All right. I'm drunk on life. I'm like, you know what? I can go ahead and do anything I want, be anything I want, say anything I want. And if somebody comes back and says, you said this, it's like, yeah, don't remember that. Were you drunk? Yep. Then you're not. I can say anything I want to them. And they say, you said this. I'm like, how do you know you were drunk? So it's like, it's kind of cool to be around a bunch of drunk people. I have some stories about that. But the expressive just love, and they don't get enough. They live a life of high, but they want more and more and more and more and more. And the driver, oh, I'm a driver, primary driver, analytic, mostly driver. So obviously I'm not self-aware.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, and I'm an expressive driver, and you're right. I always want to have fun. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Like,
Right. So we can come back next time and all of you can go ahead and, come back with the driver and tell me why, like why I get, because obviously I'm not. So, anyways, this is going to be a crazy podcast. And you can participate live, like going to a live concert. I'm pretty sure Amy would say, yeah, that's better than a CD in a car. I mean, a CD in a car probably causes her to drive a little dangerously because she's probably going all over the place and like, whoa, like crazy girl. Oh, she's one of those crazy girl drivers. If you have any questions on anything we covered, connect with the individual who invited you to participate in today's session, or you can call toll free 888-230-2300, outside the US 630-393-9909. And always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Amy, thank you so much. You are for sure an interesting person. We'll see ya.
see ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.